Thanks, Josh. And welcome back to the program, Wayne Swan. Good morning, Treasurer.
Good morning, Paul.
Well, the advertising program, or campaign rather, starts tonight, $25 million all up. Can those TV ads succeed where the government so far has failed?
Well, Paul, this is a very big structural reform, a big change to our economy, and of course it has big implications for our environment. And as I move around the country, I've been from Perth right through to Cairns in the past week, there's a real hunger out there in the community for more information, for the facts. People want to know, why are we doing it? And they also want to know, how are we doing it? And of course, when it comes to the why, it's all about driving the investment into renewable energy, into clean energy technology, whether it's wave technology or whether it's wind power. It's making sure we change the energy mix from the dirty fuels over to the cleaner energy fuels. And also people want to know how we're going to do it. They want to know what we're doing in terms to assist households, and they also want to know what we're doing to assist business. So there's a real hunger for information, and that's why there's an advertising campaign.
Well, the fact of the matter is, though, it's not yet law, so this is basically party political at taxpayers' expense, isn't it?
No, I completely reject that. The government has made its policy announcement. There is enormous community interest in this issue. There is a need to get the facts on the table, and that's what we're doing. We are going to put the facts on the table. This is so important for the future of our country, so important in terms of future economic growth, and so important to reduce carbon pollution.
Well, Labor was
and to create that clean energy future.
Labor was highly critical of the Howard government for doing the same thing.
The Howard government spent a lot of money on very blatant party political advertising. There is always a case for factual advertising, and that's what we are doing here. There's a public interest to do this. When I go out and talk to business, when I run into people in the street, they want to know the facts.
All right, the government, according to a lot of questions we've got on both Twitter and on Facebook even, is struggling to establish trust on a carbon tax. As I said, we have a number of questions to this point. A couple pointed to what you said just 6 days before the last election. Here's a reminder.
Well, certainly what we rejected is this hysterical allegation that somehow that we are moving towards a carbon tax from the Liberal and their advertising. We certainly reject that.
So these words keep coming back to haunt you, don't they?
Yeah, I spoke about that on your program, Paul, and I think the question I was asked was about a cap on carbon pollution. That is, we have always favoured an emissions trading system. I argued that on your program that morning. We have come to that through a 3-year fixed price, and that is a carbon tax, that is true, but what we are doing is moving to an emissions trading system. That's what we've always favoured. I've favoured it for years, and of course it has been the policy of both sides of politics, except for Mr Abbott in the past 12 months.
But do you concede that it looks like you've broken faith with the Australian people?
Well, we argued during that campaign that we would go towards an emissions trading system. We said we would work with the community to do that, and we have worked through the multi-party committee. We've come up with a 3-year fixed price. That is a tax, but we are moving to the position that we argued during the campaign, which was for a floating price and an emissions trading system.
Does Labor bear any responsibility for the fact that that Australians don't see this as urgent, or as urgently as the government, the Greens and the Independents seem to? And that's because you yourselves put it on the back burner for about 18 months.
No, it was put on the back burner by the Liberal Party, who defeated it in the Parliament. That's why we are having this debate. We've got to get this done, Paul. The time for action is now. The more we delay, the costlier for the nation. We've got to make this change. Paul, I was in New Zealand during the week. They've brought in an ETS there. All of the scare campaigns occurred there like they're occurring here. When it was introduced, people saw how it was operating, and much of that concern went away.
Well, Treasurer, we have a from Leslie. She says, or he says, the government should call an election for a carbon tax mandate, as they've got no carbon tax mandate. Now, this is a call that we hear almost daily from the opposition leader as well.
Yeah, Mr Abbott is now calling for 2 elections. He just wants to run around and wreck things. You see, Mr Abbott is out there talking down the economy every day. The fact is, what we need is certainty. Our country needs to deal with carbon pricing. That's what we're doing.
But how do you
answer certainty to business to invest?
But how do you...
Very simply. Very simply, Paul, because we went to the last election arguing for a carbon price. We have come to it through a 3-year fixed price. There will be an election in a couple of years' time, and people can pass their judgment.